Hello everybody! Today I'm going to be doing a video on the pairing between the anxious attachment style and the dismissive avoidant attachment style. And before I offer you some tools, I want to be really sensitive around the labeling of the attachment styles. It can get really easy to try to box ourselves in these, so I really invite you to really let go of the label, but just focus on the behaviors that you might want to really work on. And also I'm going to be identifying some of the strengths of each attachment style as well. You can relate to more than one style, it's totally normal. But if you tend to be somebody that pairs up with somebody that has a lot of anxious tendencies or a lot of avoidant tendencies, then this video might be helpful for you. So first things first, let's unpack those two styles. Somebody that has a more anxious oriented style has a strong fear of abandonment, being left, being disconnected from their partner. And if you've been following my page, you probably know a little bit about the style, but this usually originates when we're very, very young, up to 2 years old, and we basically have had a caregiver who was very inconsistent in their availability towards us, their emotional availability, their ability to attune to us. Whereas you have somebody on the other side of the spectrum, somebody that has dismissive avoidant tendencies, had a caregiver who was fairly neglectful or not emotionally present or not physically attuned in the ways that the child really needed. And so they have the opposite fear. They have the fears of being engulfed. They have become really good at self-regulating, at auto-regulating. And so that combination can be really, really challenging. And what I want to do is I want to offer you guys 4 important pieces to this attachment style pairing. The first one is to, be really mindful and sensitive with the different ways each of you guys relate within relationships. This doesn't just mean intimate relationships. It can be friendships as well. You guys are going to relate very differently. You guys are going to act very differently when you're under stress. You're going to get triggered and activated very differently when you're having arguments or conflicts in your relationship. So that first piece is really to become aware of your partner's style as well as your own style. If you're already familiar with how you are showing up, then paying attention to your partner is going to be really key. So if you're more on the anxious end, you probably already know that you have those fears of disconnection that, again, all of us have, but you might experience it on a little bit more of a magnified or intense level. And if you resonate with more of the dismissive avoidance style, you probably have a fear of being engulfed, a fear of being, taken over, someone invading your space, not feeling like you can really monitor this engagement with this other person. So that's the first tool, is really to take that time to understand your own style, but also your partner's style. And why is this important? So that we don't take things as personally when we do shut down or when we do see our partner really yearning to connect with us in intense ways that can feel aggressive for us, but we can start to put it under that context and help us understand them better. Number 2, be willing to adjust your relating style depending on your audience. I cannot emphasize this enough. Who we are in a relationship with makes a huge difference with how we are going to adjust our conflict style, our connection style, how much connection our partner needs and how much we need, and really looking at being willing to adjust and modify certain things. So for example, if you tend to have a lot of anxious tendencies, being really mindful that approaching your partner, if they have a lot of avoidant tendencies, in a really intense or head-on way, it's probably not going to get you what you want. And on the other end of that, if you have a lot of dismissive avoidant tendencies, if you completely shut down and never really address the difficult conversations, then your partner is going to constantly be reaching for you and wanting to resolve things, and you're going to be wondering, oh my gosh, why are they being so needy of me, when in reality you're not giving them anything. So it's really being willing to adjust our almost automatic way of being when it comes to, especially when we're under stress, under relationship stress, is when we're going to see it the most. The third tool is, recognizing your strengths. Each of you has very different strengths. people that have a lot of anxious attachment tendencies are some of the most warm and loving and giving and want to be connected and really value and prioritize connection in a relationship. And that's a beautiful gift. I mean, that's something that, especially when they've worked on some of the more challenging things, they can bring a lot to the relationship. And somebody that has more dismissive avoidant tendencies is really self-sufficient. You know, they can really take care of themselves. They're really good usually about giving their partners a lot of space, really understanding their need for alone time. And that's a huge asset when you do want to explore things for yourself or go on an adventure. It's something that, you know, you have a support system, an ally that really wants you to have that alone time. And again, I'm generalizing here, you guys, so this isn't going to be, you know, across the board for everybody, but these are some of the more common things that research tends to show about the different styles. And so the fourth piece is recognizing where our limitations might be. So for the anxious partner, there's a tendency to overly focus on their partner. Of course, this is partly because, you know, we're trying to get that connection. We're trying to make sure that the connection is good, that it's okay. But the more we are becoming hyper-focused on that connection, the more we actually start to scrape away at the connection. So figuring out ways to possibly, you know, do some soul searching. What are some hobbies that you may have neglected? What are some other relationships that you can start investing in so that you're not putting all of your eggs in one basket, so that you're not putting all that pressure on your partner to be your end all be all. And on the flip side, you know, if you have more of the dismissive avoidant tendencies, your tendency is to kind of keep everything to yourself. You're really good at, again, auto-regulating, taking care of your own needs, and not really sharing a lot of your internal experiences, which again, you've been good at doing that and you've had to do that to really adapt to your environment, but it can often leave your partner feeling left out and not really inviting them into your emotional world. So spending time, even once a day, just like letting them know, you know, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? And that might be hard for you to even answer, but what can you do to start bringing them slowly into your internal experience so that they also feel connected to you? And I know that, you know, especially under stress and when we're having conflict with our partner, being able to really identify the impact we're having on our partner, depending on their style, can also be really helpful. So if we do tend to go inward, you know, if we have more of those avoidant tendencies, we're going to want to shut down, go inward, not really share what's happening for us. That can really shut us off from our partner. Being able to verbalize and communicate that can help calm your anxious partner down. You know, I really get that when I'm triggered or when I'm scared, I go away, I go inside myself. That will, even just being able to verbalize that will help a partner that has that high anxiety be like, oh gosh, it's not me. Like, they can see that this is happening, I'm not bad. You know, all these thoughts that start to go on in our brains can start to feel validated, and your partner will start to feel reassured. And on the other side of that, when you are repairing and you're more anxious, to your more avoidant partner, being able to really put words to, if you're approaching your partner in intense ways, speak to that afterwards. You know, I really get that yesterday I felt desperate. You know, I was really trying to get you to just connect with me, and I could see that my approach really wasn't working, and I kept pushing you further and further away into your cocoon. I'm really working on this. What's a better way to approach you around this? So those are a couple different ways that you can really start to navigate this pairing. And, you know, all the pairings have their own challenges, but this one has these unique ones. And I'm going to be talking about the different pairings in the other videos. So if you have any questions about the styles, I'm really taking in your feedback. This was a question that I actually pulled from the post that I did yesterday. So it was really, really helpful to see what questions you guys have around this stuff. And if this video was helpful, let me know in the comments if you want to share this with a partner or a loved one. And again, please don't label, you know, your partner, or, you know, try to put, use the verbiage as a way to, what's the word? Like, don't use it as a way to be right. Really stay in the curiosity place and more of an invitation place. You know, I noticed there's some tendencies that I'm working on. Is there anything that you might, you know, want to really work on in our relationship? Let go of the label. This is for you, so you better understand. Don't use them as ammunition. All right, you guys, so I will see you guys in the next video. I hope this was helpful, and I'm looking forward to reading all of your comments and questions. Thanks again.